Speaking of our guests, let's jump right into our visitor tonight, a grad transfer long before grad transfers were cool. He's only 31, but he's old school.
That's right.
And he provided a blueprint for today's crop of grad transfers to succeed at BYU. A pleasure to welcome former Cougar receiver Jordan Leslie to the Wise Guys, joining us live from Arizona, where he's owning his own dream at the Sports Academy. Jordan, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, in fact, Dave, you wrote a really nice article about Jordan this week in the Deseret News.
It's Jordan Leslie Week.
Yeah, and Jordan, I know you read the article because I saw you commented on it on Twitter, and so it's Jordan Leslie Week on the Wise Guys.
It was a great article for sure. I appreciate that, Dave.
You got it. You got it. You're a great story. You're the grandfather of BYU's grad student transfers. Even though you're 31, you're still the grandfather of them all. But one of the most impactful the program's ever had. What was the transition like to go from UTEP to BYU for your 1 year up here?
Honestly, coming into it, I thought it was going to be difficult. Coming to a new school, you're a senior, you've already kind of established yourself somewhere, and now you have to get into a room full of guys that have been with each other for a while and show them that you're good enough to be there. So I thought it was going to be difficult, but like I said in the article, from day one, the BYU players, Taysom Hill, Mitch Matthews, to name two, were very, very accepting. From the day I walked in, they showed me where everything was, meeting rooms. They invited me over to their house, came over to my house, took me around Provo, showed me all the good places to eat, where to hang out. So they made it real easy. Made it a real easy transition. They made it fun. BYU as a team, we were a really close-knit team. There wasn't too much bickering. It was a lot of competitive spirits, but had fun and knew once we got off the football field, we were all family at the end.
There's several grad transfers, biggest class of transfers, period, with this transfer portal thing. But in that big class of transfers, there's several grad transfers that are coming in. Keaton Slovis, Aiden Robbins, Keaton from Pitt, USC, then Pitt, then here. You got Aiden Robbins out of UNLV, Eddie Heckert out of Weber. What's going to be the biggest challenge for these guys as they try to integrate into this program this fall?
I would say the biggest thing is just understanding the system, and which I'm sure they're studying night and day to try to get this down. Luckily, they were able to come in the spring too, so that helps a lot understanding. There's really not too much of a challenge. BYU fans, make it easy for you because they love their BYU football. They're going to show you a lot of love. As long as you work hard, you're going to be a fan favorite. So that on that aspect, you're good. And then when it comes to the players, when I know from my time at BYU and just talking to other players that are in BYU currently, I don't think there'll be any problems. I think they'll come in, hit the ground running, and get ready for a great season.
Jordan Leslie graduated from UTEP in electrical engineering before coming to BYU. On the Wise Guys tonight, live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and wiseguys.com. During your time with the Miners, caught 125 passes for 2,015 yards and 15 touchdowns. Why did you decide to leave once you had your degree and you had another year of eligibility, and why did you choose BYU?
So the reason why I left, there was a lot of things. Obviously, I had a little disagreement with one of the coaches on the coaching staff, and then just kind of the route we were going. The year before, I think I had like 977 yards, like 30 yards away from 1,000. We passed the ball a lot. And then the year after, it was very run heavy. A lot of my passes were screens and things like that. And so I just wanted somewhere where I thought could showcase my talent, give me a chance to play in the NFL. And when I decided that I wanted to transfer, I wanted to go somewhere where, one, I felt like the coaching staff had my best interests at mind, and two, somewhere where I felt like I would be welcome. So in my search, like I said, there wasn't a transfer portal. There wasn't people reaching out. It was just, hey, it's on you to do everything. So I talked to a couple coaches, but knowing that Coach Holliday was at BYU and it was somebody that I could trust, somebody that had been around me, knew my playing style, and knew what I was capable of, and I knew that he was going to push me to be the best player that I could be. It was a no-brainer to go to BYU.
Yes.
And then once I went on my visit and saw the fan base and saw it rocking at the basketball game and what they showed for just the recruits that were coming in, it was after that I was like, yeah, I'm sold.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, when you're talking about Guy Holliday, most of these guys that are transferring in don't have that, where the coach where they were is now going to be the coach where they're going. How much did that influence? Was that the game, the game changer? Like, well, this is just so obvious because of it. And how did that help you integrate when you had Guy where you were and where you were going?
I would say, if we're breaking it down percentage, probably about 85, 90% was because of Coach Holiday. We had a great relationship. Like I said, he was my coach, so somebody I could trust. The other 10% was meeting with Bronco Mendenhall, talking to him and seeing his mindset, meeting the players and seeing kind of the game plan. And I would say another 2% of it was probably knowing that we were going to play UT the next year, and I wanted to get after him.
Shout out to Jonathan watching with us from Henderson, Nevada. Glenn from the Philippines up early.
Yeah, how about Glenn Lumens watching us in the Philippines? That's pretty awesome.
And they're all excited to hear more from you, Jordan. So this is your moment here on the Wise Guys. You played for two quarterbacks at BYU, Taysom Hill and Christian Stewart. Hill for the first 4.5 games. And then Stewart the rest of the way after Taysom got hurt against Utah State. You catch 55 passes for 779 yards, 6 touchdowns. You run for a touchdown. Was this as much fun as you had hoped it would be?
No, I mean, of course. Obviously, at the end of the day, we didn't accomplish the goal that was set out in front of us. We obviously wanted to be undefeated, be ranked, have a chance to play in a playoff. But it didn't end up. But as a whole, I enjoyed my time at BYU, made plays, was able to be around a great group of guys, got to go to a bowl game in Miami. There was obviously, just like with anything in life, you have times where, I wish I would have done this different. I wish I would have done this different. But as a whole, I know I left everything out on the field. I gave it everything I had at BYU, so I enjoyed my time. The fan base is amazing, and they've been amazing ever since I've left. I still get people running up to me and, hey, I remember when you were at BYU. I loved you there. So it's been an amazing time after football, and I'm glad that I made that decision.
It's our pleasure to have former BYU receiver Jordan Leslie on the Wise Guys tonight. One game that I know you don't wish went any different, because you already mentioned it. You mentioned that you were going to have UT on the schedule, University of Texas, the Longhorns. BYU 41, Texas 7. You have 7 receptions for 85 yards. The longest was a 27-yard circus catch that set up a touchdown. For a kid that grew up in Texas, and you played at UTEP, what did it mean to go beat the Longhorns in Austin? And by the way, Dave and I were there right on the sideline broadcasting and watching you. So what was that like?
It was amazing. It was a dream come true. Growing up from Texas, I went to UT's football camps. I remember busting my butt there. I remember dreaming my whole life, hey, I'm going to play in the Burnt Orange. I remember watching Vince Young win that national championship. I'm like, I'm going to be there one day. That's going to be me. And when recruiting came, I talked to some coaches, and they said they were interested, and I never heard back. And ever since that day, I was like, all right, well, wherever I go, I'm going to make sure that I get to play UT and I get to beat them. And recruiting, I thought I was going to go to Kansas, honestly. And something came up with that, so I ended up going to UTEP, and I didn't see them on the schedule. So I was a little heartbroken, but getting the chance to play them in Austin in front of a lot of family friends that came out, a lot of friends that were in college that go to UT, it was an amazing feeling. And put a butt whooping on them, that was the best part of it.
Hey, Linda's with us from Colorado, Andrew from Alaska, Richard's back with us from Panama. As the Wise Guys linking BYU, Cougar Nation around the world. So put us in your helmet running out of the locker room. It was 95 degrees that night, so it was a roaster. But you take the field in front of 85,000, I think it was, fans there at Memorial Stadium. Bevo's on the other end doing nothing. And it's your boyhood dream to play for the Longhorns, but you're running out with a BYU helmet on. They're probably booing you. I can't remember. I imagine they did. What was it like for you to take the field finally for a ball game there at Texas?
It was amazing. First thing, you step on the field, you just take it all in, because it's an environment. Obviously, it's an amazing environment. The stadium's packed. Fans are screaming left and right. I'm pretty sure we got booed at least. So that kind of gets your adrenaline going. And just like in any game, there's always nerves there. But once you get that first catch, it kind of changes everything. And I just told Taysom, hey, give me that first catch, and we're going to get rolling. And I think I caught like a slant. And then after that, all those nerves are gone. And now it's just back to playing the game. That's a kid's game I've been playing all my life.
Yeah, we were there, Jordan, right on the sideline where Taysom hurdled their guy before he went in. We were right in front of us. He hurdled the guy. And then I don't know how many years later, I was walking across that field. I was at a dinner that they were having in their boosters club. And one of their old All-American baseball players, we were walking across the field. I didn't even think anything of it. And he stopped. And he goes, you know what happened right here, don't you? And I go, what? He goes, this is right where Taysom Hill hurdled that dude. I'm like, wait a minute. You're a Texas guy. You remember that? He goes, everybody in Texas remembers that night. It's the worst night of our life. I mean, that kind of whooping doesn't happen ever in Austin. What was that like to just literally run them out of the stadium?
It was amazing. I think I had the same amount of catches as they had points. So it was great. We went into the locker room, and I obviously won't describe everything that happened in the locker room, but it was a wild scene. Obviously, Bronco got Gatorade poured on him. It was a big, just full-out mosh pit. Everybody was having fun. Everybody was excited. It was probably one of the best times I've had after a football game in my college career.
After the Taysom leap, the very next drive is the drive of your circus catch. I call it the Lynn Swan.
Yeah, it was a great
old-school catch, which set up the touchdown run by Adam Heaney, and then the route was on. And you described that to me earlier in the week. I'm going to ask you again. You're supposed to run a post, right, a post fade, or what? Walk us through that play, and how in the world did you make that catch?
So I think the play name was Cop. So it's a corner post. So you kind of go in vertical about 10 to 12 yards, break into the corner, trying to get that corner to bite it, and then go into the post. And so when I went to the post, I turned around, and it looked like Taysom got hit. And so as the ball left his hand, it obviously didn't travel the distance that he was hoping it to. So I had to come back to the ball. When I came back, there was a corner obviously behind me. So he kind of ran and kind of knocked it out a little, and I just had the composure to keep it in. After seeing Taysom jump over somebody, I was like, man, I got to one-up him somehow. It wasn't as good as jumping over somebody, but I think I made a good play.
It was a tremendous play, and I still remember the oohs and ahs of disbelief in the stadium of there's no way he held on to that ball.
Yeah, and they always talk about you want to have a receiver out there as a quarterback that even when they're covered, you go, well, I'm just going to throw it out there because that guy's going to make a play. And we want to take you now from Austin, which was a great experience for all of us. We were all there, and it was amazing. Now let's go to the coast, to Berkeley. BYU 42, Cal 35. This was a big play game for you. 5 receptions, 155 yards, and 2 touchdowns at Berkeley, and 83 yards and 38 yards on those 2 touchdowns. 83-yard touchdown. That's a big one. Take us back to Berkeley and what that game felt like for you.
Well, at the beginning of the year, I told Taysom, anytime you get a chance, throw it up. I'll make a play on it. And so going into Cal, I mean, Christian Stewart was another really good friend of mine on the team. And spent a lot of time together. And it was the last game of the season. I almost told him the same thing. Like, hey, man, you see me, just let it go. I'll make a play. And one of the I think the 83-yard touchdown was just a go. It was just a simple play call, goes on both sides. The corner pressed me, had no help over the top, and I knew if I could get him off the line and Christian Stewart, it was over. Or through it was over. And he had faith in me, let it go, and it was 83 yards later. And I think the next touchdown was busting coverage. I was just wide open in the middle of the field, and Christian saw me again.
Look, your 4 last receptions, 3 went to touchdowns at BYU. That's if you want to be remembered, do that.
That's the way to do it.
For sure. Now, you were on a handful of NFL practice squads. Your dream always to get to the league, including the Browns. Cleveland activates you before the game against the Colts in 2017. How did you find out the news that you were going to make your NFL debut? What was that moment like?
So just to take it back a little. So honestly, training camp, before training camp, finishing the season before, I was actually going to go to Dallas, and I talked to the upper management, and they were like, hey, if you make plays in training camp, you'll be on this team. So I was like, hey, let me stick it out here. They've seen me. So we went out to training camp. I made plays. I think I was leading in touchdowns, receptions, and receiving yards, and I still got cut. And so I was heartbroken. So, I'm 2 to 3 weeks, I think, outside the league, and then I get a call, hey, we want to bring you back to a practice squad. And I was like, okay, well, hey, this is another opportunity. So that week I trained on the practice squad for the first Tuesday. And then they started telling me, like, hey, there might be a chance you could play this week. And so then that kind of took it up a notch. So I took all the first team reps. I took all the second team reps. I took the practice squad reps. I was running nonstop. But I was like, hey, if I get a shot to play, I'm going to be out there. And then Friday, they actually gave me the word that I would be playing. And
what did they call you?
My mom. I was I got to buy you a flight right now.
Do they call you? How do they tell a young guy is going to play for the first time?
So this one was my receiver coach, Al Saunders, which meant a lot coming from me because obviously, he's he was the OC for the greatest show on turf. And, he's been around the game for a long time. He's been one of my biggest supporters. And obviously upper management didn't think the best of me, so they let me go a couple of times. But he was always the one fighting for me. So he was one of the first people to tell me, him and his son, who were both big supporters. They told me, and, it's a feeling that you really can't even express. I mean, you worked your whole life to do this. You thought you've done enough to be able to be on the field, and you keep getting cut, and then to have someone tell you, hey, this is your chance. It was amazing.
In that game, Jordan, you make a sensational one-handed grab, which seems like it's a theme that we're talking about tonight, these one-handed grabs, on a 26-yard pass down to the 2-yard line, and it would become your only NFL reception. Take us back, and what memories do you have from that play?
That one was a go-to. There's another running theme of just give me a go and see what happens. But got a little jammed on the line. Was able to fake inside and get outside, and Deshaun threw me a great ball. I stuck my hand up there. I think the corner had my other hand. I was able to get one hand on it. And if you look at the film, I'm not even excited about the catch because I catch it and I'm like, we didn't score. And we were in 2-minute hustle or 2-minute drill. So I'm like, I got to hustle. So I'm trying to get the ball to the ref, and then they obviously called a timeout. And so then I finally got to express my feelings and get excited. And it was an amazing feeling. It's something I'll never forget. I'll show my kids that the rest of my life. I show my players when they ask. That next week I ended up tearing my hamstring, so that next week hurt. But for that time, that day, it was amazing.
Yeah, I've seen it on YouTube.
Yes.
It's a phenomenal catch, but you made a ton of those, so it seemed right. After that injury, you get waived, and as is business in the NFL, that was it. It was practice squad, and then you retired from the game. How hard is it to stay in the NFL?
It's a tough business. It can be a little political. It can it's kind of who you know sometimes, and it's not always the best man wins. If you're undrafted, you got to be twice as good as the drafted player. I think after I tore my hamstring that next year in Denver, I led them in training camp and preseason and touchdowns, receiving yards, and receptions again, and I still got cut. And so once that happened, I was 2 years in a row. I was just like, maybe it's not for me. I went up to the CFL for a week, and it was just totally different to kind of what I was expecting from the NFL. And I just at that point, I just wanted to start my true dream, which was opening a sports facility and helping kids achieve their dream. And so once I made that decision, I'm one of the guys, if I'm all in, I'm all in. There's no one that's going to outwork me. But once I decide, hey, it's time to hang those cleats up, now I got to put my mindset to something else.
Let's talk about that, something else a little bit. You played football, basketball, you ran track at Tomball High School. So now you're training athletes for a living in Arizona. I know you're a fan of kids playing multiple sports. How important is it that they are well-rounded, and what advice do you give them as you're training as they're coming up through?
It's so important. I mean, so much what I learned for being a receiver was from basketball, boxing out and rebounding, the side-to-side lateral movements, everything. Playing defense on the basketball court helped me with my quickness, my agility. I would say so much that I achieved in this game was because I was a well-rounded athlete. And I told all my athletes, play every sport you can. The only way to get faster is by running more. The only way to jump higher is by jumping more. Get on that basketball court, get some rebounds, work on your explosion. I think right now it's getting to a point where some kids are getting burnt out so early because they're playing tackle football in the fall, they're playing tackle football in the spring, and then they get to summer or to March, April, and they're playing, or later in the spring, and they're playing 7-on-7. And I mean, we had one kid that broke his arm in the fall, broke his leg in the winter. It's tough to put a lot on such young kids playing year-round tackle football. So I always preach to the kids, get outside and play different sports and just be an athlete. Don't think and pigeonhole yourself into one sport or one position. Go out there and try it all. You never know what you'll like and what you'll be good at.
Couple more questions for Jordan Leslie tonight on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and ysguys.com. A lot of folks on the stream want us to ask, what are you doing right now? So tell us about this sports performance facility in the Mesa, Tempe area.
Yes, sir. So myself, and Coach Guy Holiday opened up a training facility of about 26,000 square feet. We have 2 turf fields. We have a full-time chiropractor, a part-time physical therapist, full-time strength coach. We have a speed coach who has a silver medal in the Olympics. We have soccer coaches that played professional in Brazil. We have another soccer coach that played at Washington. So when it comes to anything on the athletic side, we have somebody in here that specializes in that. And that's what we wanted to provide, specialized training. So, obviously, me and Coach Holiday handle the position work when it comes to football. I handle the athletic training, the agility and plyometric trainings. Anything a kid needs when it comes to their athletic ability. I even want to add some tutors in here to help them with their academics. We want to be an all-in-one sports performance facility for all the athletes, and even looking to get some scholarship programs for some kids that can't afford it.
That's good. What was the temperature in Arizona today? 100 and something?
Yeah, I think it got up to 99. So we didn't break triple digits, but I think Saturday we did.
So the genius of your operation is you've got football fields indoors with air conditioning in Arizona.
45 yards indoors. You can run all the routes you need to.
So, and tell us, what's the name of the performance facility? And before we get off, we're going to have you kind of give us a little bit of how people get in contact with you. But so people know, what's the name of the training facility in the program?
Of course. So the name is Own Your Dream Sports Academy, OYD Sports for short. But the reason why we named it that is because every day we want kids to go out there and own their dream, no matter what it is. They want to be a doctor, go out there and learn from other people that have been doctors. Go study something. All right. Whether you want to be a football player, go out there and work on your craft. At the end of the day, there's so many people in this world that want to do things or say they want to do things, but they don't go out there and do it. And so we want kids to come out here and own it. Go out there and do everything you can, give it everything you got, because that's one thing I credit so much of my success in the sport is my work ethic. I think that's the number one reason why Coach Holiday wanted me at BYU is because he knew that I was going to push every person that was in that receiving room. And that's my mindset. Anytime I get on a field report, you're going to have to outwork me to beat me.
We've put the links to your operation on our sites so folks can go there and get information on how they can get there and get trained.
Yep.
Our friends Ty and Max are down there. They should be sending you guys left and right.
Absolutely, yeah.
Coach Holiday actually just got done talking to Ty a few days ago, so I think he's going to come by, check out the facility. So maybe we'll take a little BYU pic and post that for the gram.
Oh, yeah.
So, hey, well, one of our followers, BYU Sports Addict, said, "Hey, Jordan, love your take. It's the work ethic that matters." You're absolutely right. And I go back to the very beginning of when we started to talk to Jordan tonight, and Dave mentioned that Jordan graduated in electrical engineering. And I've been thinking back, and I've been puzzling, and my puzzles are sore now. I can't think of another transfer that's come to BYU ever that's had an undergraduate degree in electrical engineering. That's no joke. That's a real major, Jordan. So that took some work to be able to juggle that while you were in school. How in the world do you juggle an electrical engineering degree and go out and have the performance you had on the field at UTEP? That's crazy.
It was definitely tough. It took a lot of hours studying, a lot of group study sessions. The main reason I went for it, I got to UTEP and they were telling me, the degrees, and I was like, I want to do engineering. And they were like, oh, we don't allow football players to do engineering. It's just too hard. And so my mindset right there, well, I'm doing it. So we're going to have to live with it. And they were like, okay, once your grades slip, we're taking you out of it. My grades never slipped, and I ended up accomplishing my goal. I ended up getting my senior project done in time and was able to transfer to BYU. So it was one thing I'll tell you is no matter what it is, push yourself. Push yourself to go out there and achieve your goals no matter what anybody says, because there's going to be a lot of doubters in this world.
We are watching the NBA Finals featuring Miami star Jimmy Butler, one of the greatest basketball players in the world. Years ago, you and your family brought Jimmy into your home and off the streets where he was living and bonded like brothers. What ways has that experience blessed both of your lives?
Well, I mean, obviously, from Jimmy's aspect, I think the biggest thing is both of us should push each other. No matter what it was, we could be walking to the store or walking down the street, we were going to race. If we were playing tic-tac-toe, it was going to come into a full-out brawl because both of us were so competitive in everything we did. And you can see it now, the way he kind of commands the team, the way he leads them. When it's crunch time, he's going to be the one to show up. And that's one thing I've been more than proud of, but something I expected from him. I know a lot of people are shocked, but that's the last thing I am is shocked of Jimmy performing in the crunch time or performing when, all the lights are on, because we train for those times. And I know of all people, he's outworking everybody in the league. And so when you outwork people, usually you're going to get rewarded.
A lot of people look at the guys, especially, the NBA, it seems like a collection of freak athletes. They're just so unbelievably athletic, and they discount how hard those guys work because it's a combination of just pure talent and work. Was there a point when you look back, Jordan, when you think about Jimmy Butler, where you go, yeah, there was a point I knew this guy was going to be a big-time NBA star. Do you go all the way back, or is it more recently that you thought that for him?
I mean, obviously when we were kids, we kept telling each other, like, hey, I'm going to make it to the NFL, you're going to make it to the NBA. That was just our mindset. Every time we did anything, that's what we told each other. We knew it was going to happen. And I have all our basketball records at our high school, so I would tell them all the time, hey, you know what, I might make it to the NBA and NFL. But I would say the biggest thing that just kind of I knew was his college prep work. Once he finished college, I don't think he was projected in the first round. And so his mindset was, hey, I want you to put me, he told his agent, put me in every workout with every top prospect there is, because I want to lock them down. And I want to show them that I'm this guy. And I knew once he was going to get an opportunity to go against all the top prospects, that hard work that he put in, he was going to show them that he was a guy. And I knew once he got drafted, he wasn't getting many minutes that freshman year. And I knew all he was going to do was keep working. And so much of this is once you get an opportunity. And he was able to get that opportunity, and he went out there and made the most of it, and he hasn't stopped making the most of it.
Game 3 tomorrow night in Miami between the Heat and the Nuggets. All right, I know we've got you in between camp sessions, so let's wrap up with 5 quick questions. We ask all of our guests these questions, and we remember them, and we write them down for all of history.
That's right.
So we're going to hold you accountable to them.
Yep.
You ready?
So we're going to start with this. And these just, whatever comes to the top of your head, you just think quick so we get to know you better. Your favorite sports movie?
Ooh, Coach Carter.
Coach
Remember the
Carter.
Titans, number 2, though.
I remember the Titans, too. Yeah, remember the Titans is we hear that one a lot. I think we had one other Coach Carter. So those are both those are awesome.
I love that mindset in that movie and how hard he pushed him. That's Coach Holiday right there for you. He's going to grind you into the ground and make you the best player.
There you go. Your favorite singer or band?
Ooh, rapper count, J. Cole would be my favorite rapper.
There you go.
Okay. Favorite breakfast cereal?
Ooh. Oh, cinnamon toast crunch.
Cinnamon toast
You know
crunch.
what? That may be our most popular one.
I think so.
I think it is. That's really, really popular.
Really good.
I like Cinnamon Life, which is similar, but not quite as sugary.
Yeah.
So
I need the sugar.
we respect all.
Don't listen to that.
We respect
We'll
Jordan.
cut
Just so
that
you know,
out.
we respect all sugar cereals.
Yeah.
We absolutely do. So
We're no respecter of.
yeah, when somebody comes in here, like when Kyle Van Noy comes in here and says they feed their children protein shakes,
we shut
for
it down
breakfast.
right
We're
then.
like, Kyle, come
We got to
on.
cut that out.
Yeah, exactly. So your favorite BYU moment, and it doesn't have to be on the football field. It could be anything that happened at BYU that stands out to you. Like, yeah, that's my favorite thing at BYU.
Favorite moment is going to be the UT locker room just after the game. Obviously, just being an amazing moment. But one of my other favorite moments that doesn't get talked about enough is the BYU challenge we did, where we had to swim a mile, bike 6 miles, and then hike like 6.5 miles. Each person had to do it. It was rough, but when you finish, you just felt fulfilled. And it was probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, but it showed me how far I could push my body.
The BYU challenge.
Yeah, there were at one time I think Bronco called the Eco Challenge. We used to go support the guys when they were doing it, and I would just think, man, you got to be mentally tough. And it was really about being mentally tough because you couldn't go train for it. You just had to go do it. And I'm like, man, this is a bunch of tough dudes. So I remember it well.
The BYU challenge.
Yeah. How about the favorite piece of advice that anybody has ever given you that you would pass along to others?
There's always someone out there outworking you. So keep working. Honestly, that's what I pictured in my mind anytime I worked out. If I told myself I was going to go run 10 stadiums and I got to 8, I would picture someone else out there outworking me. And that was my mindset. If someone out there could do more than me, I got to up it up. And I got to pick up my game and go out there and beat that person, because there's always going to be somebody that's more gifted than you. But my demeanor was, hey, if I'm the hardest worker, I'll be able to catch them. So that would be my biggest thing.
Hey, which home game are you coming up to this fall?
Ooh, I'm gonna have to double check the schedule. We're trying to get everything squared away with here. I'm getting married next year, so I'm trying to get everything in place so that next year I can get married and take 2 weeks off.
There you go.
Listen, when you let us know if you're coming up, and we'd love to have you pop on game day with us before the during our 2-hour pregame show on BYU TV. So we'd love to have you in as a guest. But just let us know, give us some heads up. Don't pop in like 5 minutes before the show.
Hey, I'm here.
A couple weeks out, season out, say, hey, I'll be there for the
Oklahoma game,
Iowa State game or whatever, and let us know, and then we'll work that out. We'd love to have you on. We're so proud of how you represent the Y and your experience up here. We're grateful that it was good and that it's helped propel you to your own business down there in Arizona. Please say hi to Coach Holliday for us, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, and we're going to remind everybody too, Jordan, that they can read all about you in the Deseret News at Deseret.com. Dave wrote a beautiful article about Jordan this week, so we're going to tell everybody to get to DeseretNews.com or Deseret.com and read that great article on Jordan.
Everyone definitely go read that article. They did a great job, and I'll tell Coach Holiday hi. He's actually yelling at somebody right now. So
there you go.
Same old guy.
Wouldn't be right if he wasn't.
OYDsports.com for anybody that's interested and wants to just check it out. OYDsports.com. We're here to help anybody. We need to get some more BYU Cougar fans in here.
Yeah, and what we need you to do is send us some 6'6" guys that run the 40
we need some
3.
6'6" tight ends and a couple of 6'7" offensive tackles, and then send us a bunch of skill guys too.
Yeah, so send them up, would
we
you?
got some great athletes, and we're adding some more. So
fantastic. Thanks so much for joining us, Jordan. We appreciate it, and we're excited about all the things you got going.
Of course. Thank you all again for having me.
The great Jordan Leslie. Nice to see that number 9 up there on the wall behind him. And, when you think about, and we talked about it before the interview, grad transfers and the challenge they have, and he pointed out in this article and again tonight, that you walk in, you want to be a starter, you walk into the room and no one knows a thing about you. And it can rub guys wrong, and all of a sudden it can cause a ripple in the receiver room. But Guy Holliday said in that article that he needed Jordan to come help change the culture. Wanted guys to play tougher.
Yeah,
and he knew that he had that. And Mitch Matthews and Christian Stewart all said the same kind of things, that he brought that. Christian Stewart, who threw for a bazillion yards, I talked to him the other night, and he said that they had no expectations for Jordan as a receiver coming from UTEP. Big whoop.
Yeah, exactly.
But then when he showed up and they saw him run routes and physically catch the ball, and it was smart, and all of a sudden they go, we got somebody. And he delivered all season.